Chicago, New York, Denver mayors, they say the cities are almost at capacity amid migrant crisis. Does that seem like something we've heard before? Where have we heard that before? Maybe from the states literally on the southern border, who this has been the real deal for them for years, with this massive influx of humanity in the millions coming up through a wide open southern border. Yeah, the hypocrisy from these mayors is substantial. Let's get into it. Here we go. Let's watch a little video.
With more expected to come, they're putting in place measures that we already have here in Chicago.
All of our cities have reached a point where we are either close to...
Let's go, Brandon.
...nearly out of room.
A call to action by 3 city mayors to the White House.
Without significant intervention from the federal government, this mission will not be sustained.
Wednesday, mayors from Denver, Chicago, New York City.
But this was your mission. You were a sanctuary city. That's your mission. That's your call. Now you need the federal government to intervene? Yeah. What happened to that whole sanctuary city, virtue signaling? What about all that? You said, bring them on. And you did the photo op, and now you need money. Shocking.
Addressing what they call a humanitarian crisis as thousands of migrants arrive in their cities, adding more strain to their resources and housing.
We at this point now have had more migrant arrivals to our city than any.
Look at this guy.
Per capita.
But we cannot continue to do the
shocking.
Job.
With buses continuing to arrive without notice, New York City Mayor Eric Adams announcing an executive order following the city of Chicago's lead.
And based on the observations of what we saw in Chicago, we are duplicating some of the best practices we're seeing in our other municipalities. These charter buses arrive.
You mean restricting the flow of people into your states because your budgets are busted? What happened to that whole sanctuary city? Bring them all in. What happened to that attitude? Oh, yeah. There's no more room at the inn? Weird. Who knew? So all of a sudden, these cities are tapped out. These virtue signaling sanctuary cities are tapped out. And they're like, Joe, give us some money. Joe, send us money. We're broke. What did you think was going to happen? Have you not been hearing what the southern border states have been saying for years? Yeah, we're overrun, guys. We're overrun. Weird. Now it's happening to you. That whole sanctuary. Yeah. Could we get a little respite on the whole sanctuary city thing? I mean, that, housing for all thing. I mean, it was true to a point, but man, we do not have the resources for this anymore. So if we could just, do a little time out here. Yeah. Thanks, Joe.
Keep going. Between 8:30 a.m. and 12 p.m. Monday.
Okay, so Eric Adams, the tool, is upset because they're bringing in buses of humanity in unauthorized times. What? You mean down in the southern border they get blocks of time where the illegal immigrants cross the border? Is that how this is all going? Are there times for everybody? Or are you just making up times? Hey, the southern states, they're shipping people here on buses. It's not during the time that we agreed on. Tisk. Of course not. They're just going to keep sending them.
Friday, and to only drop off passengers at one spot unless directed otherwise.
Those who violate the order will face fines, lawsuits, or being impounded. Denver say they also have a similar order in place.
To be clear, this is not stopping people from coming, but about ensuring the safety of migrants and making sure they can arrive in a coordinated and orderly way.
Despite the...
Well, they wouldn't have to if we had a southern border policy. Weird. Yeah. What did happen to the southern border? What happened to the whole concept of, if you want to come into the United States, you got to wait your turn in line and you got to go through this process that takes years and years and years, like everybody else. Right? I mean, there at one time was a process. Not anymore. Not anymore.
Ordinance, the city of Chicago is still seeing rogue buses. We found at least 28 of them dropping off migrants outside of Chicago, so even as far as Kankakee.
That's a big story, too.
The village of University Park, who say they've already received 15 of these buses.
I don't think anyone was prepared for the enormity.
Do you think the southern states along the border were prepared for the enormity? What about that? So it's just this, to me, it's the hypocrisy of the whole situation. It's just, they're so hypocritical. Sanctuary cities, for as long as it benefits us, then, oh my gosh, there's a lot of people. There's a lot of people coming here that don't have IDs, don't have the ability to work, don't clearly have employment, don't have family members, don't speak English, need clothes, need medical attention, need a bed, need utilities. It's damn cold. They need all this stuff, and it's costing these cities billions and billions of dollars. And now all of a sudden the virtue signaling, it doesn't seem to be as popular as it once was, right? But we're going to couch it from the standpoint of, we want to make sure everybody gets here safe. Just not as many of them as we had thought we would want to have to come to our community. Because man, Abbott has sent a lot of people to our cities. Wow. Yeah.
Mayors are calling on more federal funding, on expedited work permits.
Of course they are.
Migrants out of shelters more quickly, and more coordination at the southern border. Reporting live outside of City.
All right. Good luck with that. Good luck with that. Whole thing is just wild, right? As CBS's Maribel Gonzalez reported, Mayor Brandon Johnson on Wednesday in Chicago said it's almost at capacity with migrants. Even as more asylum seekers make their way to the suburbs and other towns and villages in the area. New York City Mayor Eric Adams and Denver Mayor Mike Johnston both said that they will take a page from Chicago's book, as the leaders of those cities likewise said that they are at a tipping point. By that, what they are talking about is, all right, we've got a schedule between 8:30 and noon. You can drop them off. You can only drop them off over there by the 7-Eleven. Can't drop them off over there by Kmart, 7-Eleven only. And then if you drop them off at Kmart, we're going to impound your bus. We're going to give them a bus driver a fine. We're going to maybe arrest the bus driver. You know what I mean? It's like, really? This is your solution? This is your solution. Okay. How about you hit up Uncle Joe there and say, yo, Joe, we need some border policy ASAP. Not only are they running out of housing and resources, but they are still dealing with unannounced buses arriving every single day and more expected to come. And why wouldn't they? Why wouldn't the governors of the southern states just keep shipping them? All right, you want to let them come in? We're going to ship them all day long. We can do this all day long. And they are. All our cities have reached a point where we are either close to capacity or nearly out of room. Nope, you are not. You're going to take millions more people, and you know what? You're going to smile as you bend over and take it. Because that's literally what's going to happen. There's no other way. I mean, what are you going to do? You're going to stop this massive migration just midstream? What's that going to look like? Yeah. I mean, can you see that happening? No, not really. I think it'll be that there will be some changes, and then the folks that are kind of en route are going to, maybe rework what they're thinking, because this whole just come to America and it'll be fine. That whole concept has got to be pushed back on. It just has to, because this is totally unsustainable. 6-7 million people coming through. All three city mayors issued a call to action to the White House. Weren't they all on the same side on this topic at one time? And now they're like, hey, but we're out of money. Send us some money. Send us some money over here. Without significant intervention from the federal government, this mission will not be sustained, Johnson said Wednesday. I didn't realize that this was, is this a humanitarian mission that you had taken on? I mean, I didn't know. I mean, I just thought it was virtue signaling at best that was going to go sideways, which now that it has, you're bitching for federal government intervention. Yeah. Weird, right? As of Wednesday, Chicago has received more than 26,000 asylum seekers. At least 10 buses of additional migrants were expected to arrive on Wednesday yesterday. Chicago's Office of Emergency Management Communications said at least 3 buses arrived in the suburbs on Tuesday. Just dropping off people willy-nilly. I mean, I view this as a good training exercise. I mean, so you need to know what happens when you drop off, a few hundred migrants at a time, and you just, wherever, you just kind of, I mean, it's an exercise in figuring out if your governmental infrastructure really has the resources to do what it says it does. Oh, wait a minute. This is Chicago. We know that it doesn't. Huh. Yeah. Chicago can't take care of its own, and that's what's sad. And instead, they're trying to virtue signal about bringing a bunch of migrants in. We can handle them. No, we can't. We're done. Joe, give us money. Even as the city is nearing capacity, migrants continue to make their way via buses into metro trains and into the city. Chicago counted at least 19 buses that officials know of. CBS 2 called around and asked local suburban communities how many asylum seekers they've received. Buses have stopped as far as 𝗥𝗘𝗠𝗜𝗡𝗦𝗢𝗥𝗘𝗏. Is that right? I'm totally butchering that, I'm sure. About 50 miles south of Chicago, other communities like Fox River Grove, Elmhurst, Aurora, Naperville, Lockport, and University Park also reported receiving buses. By CBS 2's tally, there have been at least 28 buses that have dropped migrants off in suburban communities. Now, the real issue there is that the infrastructure in place doesn't really exist, and these folks are just on their heels. They're just like, I don't know what to do. And when you've got a genius in office, like Let's Go Brandon Johnson, this is what happens. I don't know what to do. Give us money. Mayor Johnson met virtually with Mayors Adams and Johnston as they addressed what they call a humanitarian crisis. Thousands of migrants are arriving in all their cities because you welcomed them with arms, claiming that you're a sanctuary city. Now you're going to fine the bus drivers. You're going to impound the buses. You're going to make arrests. It's not very sanctuary city-like. I mean, that's not nice. You shouldn't be doing that. You should just be welcoming them with open arms as you expect the southern states to do. But then when it comes to capacity limits, we're almost out of money. We're almost out of people. We're almost out of, resources. Yeah. We at this point now have had more migrant arrivals in our city than any city in America per capita. Shouldn't you get a medal for that, Mayor Johnson of Denver? I mean, you're the one that wanted this, right? You're the one that wanted this. Shouldn't you be demanding a medal? Because, I mean, you got what you wanted in large scale, most of any city, right? Good for you. Well done. Now, what was your problem? With buses continuing to arrive without notice, where was this agreement? Yeah, we're only going to send them between 8:30 and noon or by the 7-Eleven. What was this? I mean, really? You really think everybody's going to play by whatever perceived rules? Okay, we're going to make up some rules and we expect you to play by them. That's not how this works. Adams has announced an executive order for New York City following. Okay. Who cares? I don't think anybody cares. Executive order. All right. Well, print that off and use it as toilet paper, right? Shenanigans, I say. Following the city of Chicago's lead on this executive order, earlier this month, the city council in Chicago began cracking down on buses that fail to notify the city of where and when they will drop people off. Well, as the migrants come through the southern border, if they notify when and where they're going to come through, then I say same should be done in Chicago, in Denver, and wherever else. But until then, you get what you get with fines and impoundment of the buses as penalties. It's not the poor bus driver's fault. It's just not. Go after somebody your own size. Pick on somebody your own size. Pick on Governor Abbott. Let's see how that goes, you weenie. Based on observations of what we saw in Chicago, we're duplicating. Yeah, whatever. Yeah, 8:30 and 12 p.m. It's so annoying. It's like nobody cares what you're talking about. Executive order? Ooh, whatever. The 3 mayors are calling for more federal funding. Nah, that's not shocking. I don't think anyone was prepared for the enormity, said Elizabeth. We heard Elizabeth say that. Okay, but what did you think would happen? Literally. What did you think would happen with your sanctuary? Oh, we didn't think they were going to drive them here in buses. We thought they were all just going to walk here. Well, improvise. Come up with a game plan. Shift things around a little. Maybe put a little pressure on the president to say, you know what? Maybe, just maybe, we need to change up our approach to this whole southern border thing. I don't know. It's an idea. We're trying to absorb as many as we can. However, being a small community, we just don't have all the resources that we need, she said. You mean like those small communities along the southern border, Eagle Rock? You mean like that? Because, they've been in that position literally for several years now, right? Years. Huh. Weird, right? One bus actually dropped people off in the middle of a cornfield. Oh, not a cornfield. If you want to get dropped off in the south side of Chicago or a cornfield, which one are you going to take? Yeah, take that cornfield. Cornfields aren't going to shoot you. We're walking down the street, Scott said, toddlers with no coats. Well, yeah, they came up through the southern border and they didn't bring a lot of stuff with them, and they dropped a whole bunch of it off and crossing the Darien Gap and whatnot. So they're going to need some resources. We know that. You knew that before you said, sanctuary cities are the greatest thing ever. Even though the city anticipated about 10 buses arriving on Wednesday, no one knew where they'll stop. By the time we get word, it's really us at that point trying to be reactive instead of proactive, Scott said. How about we be proactive on the southern border in general? What about that? How about having some border policy? What about that? What if we did that? Whole thing is just... If it wasn't for these knuckleheads in office in these blue cities, you'd kind of be like, yeah, these guys just can't think outside of the box. And they didn't really see this coming, or did they know this was coming? They had to have known this was coming. Wow, that's a lot of buses. Buses for days. I say it's great because they're sharing. Governor Abbott and DeSantis down in Florida, they are sharing the wealth around. They're the ones doing the Lord's work. They're busing these people free of charge to cities that want them. That's the Lord's work right there. I don't care what you say. So I think Greg Abbott should get a medal. I think he should get a congressional medal for valor or some damn thing. I don't know, for being effective with policy. This is policy that works because this is putting pressure on virtue signaling cities and states that, no more room at the inn. All right. That's it for shenanigans on this one. Thanks so much for being here. I will catch up with you on the next one. We're going to have lots more on this topic because this isn't going away anytime soon. All right. Thanks again. We'll catch up on the next one. Bye for now.